You have to be an off-roader to own a Jeep Gladiator. Do you? Do you really? Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Automotive JT. So do you really have to be an off-roader to own a Jeep Gladiator? You know, it's funny. As a YouTuber, I'm on all kinds of forums and groups and you name it, and I try to be there. But it's amazing to me, the sentiment out there about what you have to be and what you have to do with your vehicle, your Jeep Gladiator, in order to own one, to be a bona fide Jeep Gladiator owner. And there's nothing wrong with it. Don't get me wrong. I mean, if you're an avid off-roader and you get out on the trails every day or every week or whatever, that's cool. And I actually think that would be a lot of fun to do. But let's be honest, not many people do that as a percentage of even total 4x4 owners. It's something like 4 or 5%, something like that. So a majority of people that own the Jeep Gladiator are not taking it off-road. So when you hear people tell you that you're not a real Jeep owner or you shouldn't own one, you should sell off your Jeep Gladiator right away if you're not taking it off-road like every day and go buy a Prius, they're nuts. They don't know what they're talking about. Again, nothing wrong with it, but it's just the reality, I suppose. And there's a few reasons for that, One, if you're like me, unfortunately and very strangely, I don't live in an area that's conducive to off-roading. I live in South Texas. Now, I could take a trip out to the beach. I'm about 40 minutes or so, whatever it is, away from a beach where I could go drive on the sand. But am I going to make that trip every day to go drive off-road? I mean, no, it becomes inconvenient. And convenience has a lot to do with things too, There are some off-road parks in the area, depending on what you consider the area to be, about a 3 or 4 hour drive away. So you're talking about a 6 or 8 hour round trip to get to those places. And it's not like you're going to go to work every day, come home, and then head off to the off-road park that's 4 hours away. I mean, it's not convenient. It's not conducive to normal life. So a lot of people like me just don't have the opportunity. It's not that you wouldn't like to do it maybe, but it's just not something you can step out your door and do right away, unless you're fortunate. If you live on acreage and you have trails, or you know somebody that has land or something that you can actually drive on, that would be awesome. Secondly is the price. These things aren't cheap. You go out and spend anywhere from, mid 40s to 60 grand on a Jeep Gladiator, depending on the trim level that you have. Are you going to go out and beat the crap out of that thing off-road? That's the other thing with some of the comments that I see out there, is I think even if you did take it off-road, if you're not taking it somewhere that's full of ruts and dips and rocks and hazardous things, then you're still not a real off-roader. Technically, going off-road would be driving in that field over there, right? I mean, it's off-road, but it's not some severe course where I'm driving through streams and water's up to the top of my door. I mean, are you really going to do that with a vehicle that you spent that kind of money on? I don't think so. It's funny, and you've probably heard the story. There's a guy that tried to take his in for warranty work. He had basically submerged it in a mud pit, and everything was covered in mud. He tried to take it in because he had, I think it was drive shaft problems or something like that. But he ruined the Jeep. And it was not a cheap Jeep, but he ruined it. He did that himself. There is some common sense responsibility that you have to have. You can't go drive it into the ocean just because it has a snorkel on it. I mean, you have to kind of use a little bit of common sense, right? And I think a lot of people do, and that's why there's such a lower percentage, much less than I ever would have thought, of people who actually do go off-road. Now, as I said, it would be fun to do. The Jeep is perfectly capable of doing that. I think the Gladiator is probably up there in the top 3, 4 most capable off-road vehicles that you could possibly own. So it's not that you can't do it. I think people probably use four-wheel drive really these days more for winter conditions, like a lot of snow. That's what I've used mine for in the past when I used to live up north where we had snow and ice and all that fun stuff in the winter. And it was fun. I used to take mine out. I'd find a parking lot somewhere. Again, nowhere to go really off-road. But I'd find a parking lot somewhere, put it in four-wheel drive, and just see what it would do. It was a blast. So I think a lot of people use it for that. High water and stuff. I don't know that it's really so beneficial in that. And I'm talking about on the pavement. You know, down here where I live now, when we get rain, we don't just get rain. We get 6 inches, 5 inches, and it floods. There's a lot of water on the road. I don't know that you really need four-wheel drive for that. I think it gives you a better sense of security. Kind of like driving on the highway when there's snow and you see four-wheel drives flying by you in the fast lane on the highway because they have four-wheel drive. The problem there is as soon as you turn or hit the brakes, it slides just like every other vehicle does. And that's why sometimes you see those people off the road in the ditch because they overestimate the capability of the four-wheel drive. So no, I don't believe you have to be a constant off-roader to feel like you should own a Jeep Gladiator. I think a Jeep Gladiator is useful for many things, just even daily driving. You know, I've done other videos. I've talked about how comfortable it is, how powerful it is, how convenient everything is inside. It has all the tech that you'd want, all that good stuff. And that's nice to have when you're daily driving, commuting to work, whatever. You've got everything in it that makes it fun to drive. So you don't have to be an off-roader to own a Jeep Gladiator. And don't let the vocal few tell you that if you're not driving your Jeep Gladiator off-road, you shouldn't have one. They're probably people that never go off-road themselves and really wish that they could, and they're taking their frustrations out on you. Don't let them. Just move on. Anyway, I just thought I'd get on here. I still get comments about that. People ask me, well, when are you going to go out and beat it off-road? Well, I'm not. Doesn't mean I won't ever take it off-road, but I'm surely not going to take it out and beat it to death off-road. I value it more than that. Leave a comment. Let me know. Do you own a Jeep Gladiator or maybe a Jeep Wrangler or even just a 4x4? Do you get those kind of comments from people? Maybe your buddies, maybe your family. I'd be curious to know. Also, real quick, I do have 2 additional channels. Rob Motive, all about my 2020 Toyota Tacoma. And Rob Motive FST, all about my 2021 Toyota Tundra. Check them out, and if you're interested, please consider subscribing. Don't forget to click that notification bell so that you don't miss out on any upcoming videos. And do me a favor, smash that subscribe button on the way out. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.